So you see this, right? What a lot of people do is people do this. It's a normal first beginner's problem. Is they just have the trees and the plants sticking out of the ground. One of the tricks for either faking dirt or making it look more natural is these duders. You can either use this Redguard chair seating, or which makes a really lovely pot, or you could use, some of the limestone circles uh, from Alinor, or you can use the Elsewhere walls. You can do a whole lot of different things, and then you just stack them pretty full. Now, the other thing I've done in here is this is a kind of ivy. This is the clustered ivy from I believe this one is from Alinor. So you can fill in the gaps of what looks funny and doesn't quite fill it out by going and getting these plants from the vendor, and these ivy plants, and they really do help poof it out. So that's a good. This is one of those houses that you can build right out of the ground, because the ground is leather surrounded by dirt, so you really don't have to do sort of like a potting job or something. Oh, it was. Oh, that's really nice. What a good divider idea. It's quite lovely. Sticking plants in pots, the other way to go. Makes it look more natural. These must have been hand placed, or maybe EHT, I'm not sure. Now we have this gorgeous little gardeny area up top. Now, what she's done about dirt is she's just used granite. You can also use, and I think what works best in my experience, is using mossy rocks, which granite works fine too if you do what she's done here, which is put a lot of ground cover over it, so it looks more realistic. So Felina, thank you. You've given me an example of the very thing that I wanted to talk about, but I haven't. So for dirt here, what I've used is carpeting. You can see it's that gray, I think it's the ashen carpet that you can get. I forget the name of it, but it does work. It can look a little odd. Now, what I suggest you do is cover a lot of it with ivy. If you're going to go the carpet route, use ivy. And then what I should have done here is, this is actually hedges sunken into the ground. I could have used more hedges and covered it better. I was trying to cover all this odd looking rock it's like tiles in the middle of the backyard. It just looks bizarre. So this was one of my early attempts, and I didn't sink it low enough, so it's hard to walk on. But these are in fact hedges, as you can see, sunken into the ground. See? And then I did have carpeting under everything to sort of add to the dirt look, but this edge is too obvious, and if I were smart, I'd come back and cover it better. But I'm not smart. I'm a dummy. Here we go. Okay. This house that I'm about to show you is amazing in its own right. In the sense that when you see what happens at the end of the house, you'll be in shock. Now, Snow Fairy Wings, I should have put her as one of my favorite builders ever, and I think I might in a future episode, has used a technique that's a little flashier, I think, than the average dirt use, but it works in the context that she's doing it. There's almost a magical look to what she uses. Okay. This is truly a spectacular build. Now she uses these hedges to direct people in, but this is not the portion I'm talking about. Oh look, loves snow. She's a good person. All right, so here we come upon the plants. Here we are. We've got water, but the plants have this green crystal that they're embedded in. Now, with the glowy plants alongside and all of the glowy pets and the water, I think we see something here that normally might look a little strange, but the way she's used it is perfection. So keep that in mind, that these crystals from Vivec City could also possibly be dirt, depending on how magic-y your house looks. And this is the payoff for this house. Isn't that tremendous? It's really... Sometimes you can use really odd things as dirt. One of the odd things I'm using in my Dawn Shadow, which is a farm, is I'm using bladders. I'm using Bosmer bladders flipped upside down. The reason why I use those is to represent a little mound of dirt. You know, when you first plant something, you sometimes have a little mound around the plant itself. Well, that's what I was going for with this. So as you can see, there's a little mound here. It is beautiful, isn't it? So they do look like exactly what they are, which is bladders. But if you kind of step away, you can get away with it. Those definitely look like mounds or like newly planted stuff or whatever. This is probably one of the most common tricks and that people use nowadays. And this is the one that I'm going to recommend you usually use. Either this from Clockwork turned upside down so you only see the dirt, or the rubble from Elsewhere flipped upside down so you only see the dirt on the bottom, not the rubble portion. This is how most people cover up the ground these days if they want to plant plants. Now, what's under here? Check it out. There's underneath the dirt, there's just stone. So it's like doesn't look right. It doesn't look like an actual garden or farm. And I think that in order to fake it, this is one of the best tools you can use, is this fake dirt. Okay, now this isn't really dirt, but what I'm trying to, or plants, but what I'm trying to point out to you is that kelp, which is really cheap, you can buy it in large quantities for very cheap, makes a really nice thick greenery if you stack them. So this could be, even without effects, this could be like the basis of one of your planters or something. Just even the whole ground could look like this, and it just looks like greenery. It doesn't look like it has to be kept. What I'm gonna do is use this as a stand or a staging area, and then we're gonna put, these all look better when you have them put in with something around them, like a potting area or something. But these are all options these are the orcish beddings. Good morning, Shutterbug. Orcish beds, Bosmer beds are both commonly used dirt sources. Now, again, these aren't necessarily my first choice, but they do work, and I've seen a lot of people use them. Also, the divider looks a lot like dirt, if you want that color dirt. And then finally, some people do sand gardens. So like they'll have rock gardens with cacti or whatever coming out of them. And then for that, the meditation stuff looks really good. And plus, you can stack things so you don't, while you see this can even be dirt, honestly, but while you see the sand, you don't necessarily see that it's has circles like that. So it's really kind of easy to use it as a base and then really thickly fill things so that it just doesn't look bad. There. See? You can't really tell, but you see dirt, or, you know, depending on how you fill it. Now, one of the other things that I've been told, I've never quite tried it, was, I mean, I tried it, but it never quite worked for me, but I know people who do it, is the mossy trees, supposedly, when you sink them down, look like grass. So they could probably be a fill-in for, what would you call it? Gnarled? No. We'll use one because I don't think, oh, here it is, mossy murkmile. They could be fill-in for hedges if you would rather use that. See, if you put this tree down even lower, which I did not do, you can see how that could look like filler. You could just stick that in a pot, like one of those Redgar pots, and it would fill it out. So I hope those are some good ideas. There's definitely EHT ways to do all of these. The last thing that I don't have any of, I don't think, is Pax mushrooms. I've seen people use Pax mushrooms